Welcome to Zentangle Project Pack 11. This is our wrap-up video. My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria.
And we're just going to ramble. We are collected historical things, fun things, and all sorts of stuff are spread out on this table here that we wanted to share with you and also answer some of the questions that came up.
Okay, this is a tile I did when Rick first handed me these brand new Phi tiles. And I'm thinking, of course I have to do an illuminated letter. I mean, I have to do this. So I used the Tangle Elish to create the P in Phi and put all my markings in there. And you can see Phi here and here and here. And then this line here is Phi.
And I'm going to guess that there is Phi.
Yep,
right?
that dot is Phi, and the dot at the top is Phi.
Right, and this.
Yeah, and the other way, the dot. And you can tell that I took care to do that. But I think once you get used to this, you're going to do it automatically. And it's not like every single piece of art that you do has to be in Phi proportion. But sometimes you're going to find that the ones that you end up loving the best are the ones that are set up like this.
So, case in point, I'm doing this totally out of order here, but
Okay.
this is a picture of a painting that our grandson Wyatt did when he was 7 years old.
And it hangs in the spare bedroom.
And and for some reason we decided this is just so cool.
No, Molly and Martha went in there and they said, they came out and they said,
no, but we picked it to frame.
Yeah.
You know, this was like years ago. And then Molly came out and said, yeah, right.
Yeah. So I have to preface this by saying we have 5 grandchildren and we don't have anybody else's on the wall, artwork on the wall, but this one snowman, and I don't know. I never knew why. I just liked it.
So why did this one,
Speak to
appeal?
us. Yeah.
And Molly said, well, check it out with the, how it fits with Phi. So I got these dividers. These are actually really cool. These, as I'm told, are from the dental reconstruction industry.
Oh God!
because they. The teeth are in Phi proportion, so when they had to reconstruct stuff. Anyways, so let's look at this. So from the edge to the edge, well, that's sort of interesting, right? It's sort of on that zone. And then over here, if we go to this edge, well, that cross piece, right?
That's pretty close.
That's pretty.
And there's the wiggly line I talked about.
And there's the wiggly line, right?
I hadn't thought about that.
And then let's look at this. If we go from here to the top, well, this arm, right, comes out right there. So there's all of these like crazy Phi proportion things going on.
How about the
that.
belly button Cole?
Let's see here.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Look at that. How fun is that?
The point here is that I'm guessing Wyatt didn't have one of these
No, he didn't.
little gizmos, but there was this being in tune with proportion and just there's this intuition that, like in our first opening video, we talked about how Maria did that in her art. And so this is just a really cool example of that, I think.
This is blowing me away more than anything else.
Right? So, yeah, and part of this is noticing patterns in your world. And patterns and we'll talk about all sorts of stuff about that. One of the things I wanted to tell you another story, but I'll put this up. I have this in my office just to show provenance here. Maria did this back in
when we first got together,
2003. So this is a really cool piece.
So it's light my fire, and this is the symbol for Phi.
Right, yeah.
In case you've forgotten, and it must have been for your birthday, March, in 2003 when you first
I don't know.
we first got together. So this is I forgot that I had done this.
We had been discussing Phi for quite a long time. We got a great email or comment on the YouTube from Kelly Holton, and she pointed out something that we should definitely mention. And originally I had said that, Fibonacci ratios have as much to do with math as Sudoku has to do with math. And the reason that I said that is I just didn't want to put people off and thinking, oh, this is math, I don't want to have anything to do with
Right.
it. And that isn't entirely accurate.
What is accurate is that Sudoku has nothing to do with math.
With math at all.
Nothing.
And these ratios have more to do with proportions, and those proportions are arrived at by this brilliantly simple arithmetic where you take 1 and you add it to itself, and that gives you 2, right? So if you take 2, or the result there, and add it to the previous number, 2 plus 1 is 3. And that's as complicated as this gets, and you just keep doing it more and more, and that will give you 5. If you add 5 and 3, that will give you 8. If you add 8 and 5, that gives you 13. If you add, et cetera, et cetera. So you get it, right? And on and on and on. And the larger the numbers get, when you divide one by the other, you get very close to that 0.618, and on and on and on and on and on. And it never repeats.
It never repeats, and it never comes to a definite number. It always bounces back and forth, right?
Right. So bouncing back and forth, it's called, it asymptotically gets closer.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. Word for the day.
But thank you for that comment, Kelly.
Yeah, so Kelly, that was really, really awesome, and we really appreciate that. And we're loving seeing so much of the work that is coming online. Sometimes people ask or are curious, like some of the things that we got inspired by. And this was a book that we've referred to often. And there's some cool, it's a beautifully done book. And so there's the specifics of it. And one of the things that, you might not have considered as being, so let's take a look at car design, right? So here's
classic Volkswagen.
Right? Well, here's a study overlaying a Phi Oval. So if an oval was drawn inside a Phi rectangle, just like your Phi tile, these are all of the proportions that fit, including the diagonals to there, right? Where the wheel is and all of that. Just fascinating stuff.
So the designers had this thing for Phi.
Right. They did.
And the illustrations in this book are so spectacular.
So in things with product design and Fibonacci ratios.
I have one of those.
Let's see. There's a couple other things.
You must have bought it for me because of
furniture.
the Phi, the fineness of it.
And poster designs, but even old
buildings.
So architecture. This is a great one. So
Notre Dame Cathedral in
whole
Paris.
Series is designed on that. So, anyways, that's a really great reference. Somewhere in the house is this book
that we can't find.
Couldn't find it, but we printed it out, and this was an inspiration of our Zentangle theme of the elegance of limits. Was inspired by, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name or her name. I don't know. The Power of Limits. And it's this beautiful analysis of everything from crustaceans to insects to trees to flowers to the human body, and how these proportions resonate throughout all of this creation. And it's really fascinating. And again, to reiterate, it's the only proportion where the larger, or where the whole is to the larger part, as the larger part is to the smaller part. And there's only one place that that line can be, and it's magical.
Magic.
And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So another way that we can, or that I got interested in it, was that you will see patterns in time exhibited through the market. So I was looking at price charts, stock market, and you will see these patterns repeat themselves in time in all time frames, whether it's like a yearly chart or a monthly chart or a weekly chart. It is fractal. And it's fractal not only in time, but also in price change. So it's probably a little small on the screen, but if you look at, how far that retraced, it's roughly that phi, or how far this retraced. I got it backwards here. How far that roughly retraced, again right here, it's a function of phi. So there's something magical. It's not just in flowers, it's not just in insects and faces, it's in patterns that are in time and emotions, it appears, because this is often a very emotional event. So it's just another aspect. And so also people have asked, where did you get these gizmos? And I looked online and I could not find any of them, of these particular ones, but I did have made an acquaintance online with a gentleman named Scott Onstott, and he makes his own, and we'll put the link in below, but he makes these lovely wooden ones, and you can see they're like calipers, and they open up.
I can't believe you don't have one of his.
I'm going to correct that very soon.
Okay.
So they work like this, and let's see, he has some great, this is some interesting things. So these are credit cards. You can play with this. You actually have in your pocket or purse, perhaps, a phi calculator, because the proportions of the length to the width, again, here's some interesting things that he notes. And he's got some great books on phi proportions in art and in architecture, and even in where things are placed around the world. So we really encourage you to check that out.
His books are great.
Yeah, really good, and he makes them all himself. So check that out. And before we get to all of the things that Maria wants to show and share of the tiles we did, just wanted to show that when we early on started, this was the first thing that we made, and we very deliberately incorporated phi into the design of our products. So this little corner right here, or even internally, how different components are laid out. See how that meets that bottom line there.
Not only that, Rick likes phi so much that we only sold our tiles in sets of 21 or 35. Oh, no, 21, 34, 55. And what was the bulk? I think was one, too.
I think the bulk we may go up to one. We play with 108 or
something like that.
But yeah.
But he used the numbers from the Fibonacci.
So all of those numbers are very, very deliberate. So that explains a little bit of that. I think that's all the rambling I have here.
So you want me to ramble now?
No, I want you to ramble.
So I'm just going to show you some of the things, or where it took us, different iterations of the tiles that we did. So that was the first day, right?
That was the first day, yeah.
So I think I started with this, and I decided that was too busy, and I wanted to have something cleaner, and then this was the last day, my first tile that I did like that, and it's a little bit different, and they just keep changing. And here's another one with the Mollygon, and the Mollygon with the Phi spot there. Another one with the doodah. I ended up doing the doodah on the other one.
And I think I'm going to guess that center is in that sweet resonant spot, right?
So this was just getting me in the mood and the modus. There's another one. That was kind of cool too.
I love this, right?
Yeah.
And then the diagonals too. That's very cool.
Yeah. And then Rick did this beautiful tile on the back. Of course, I couldn't. After that, I said I got to do one too. So I did one. Like da 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 da.
Dueling banjos,
yeah,
right?
dueling banjos.
Or guitars, whatever.
Yeah. So I did it with Muka, of course. And then this was another spiral I had just worked with, but it wasn't tangly enough for me to include it in the instructions. But it was actually kind of cool.
This looks so shell-like, right?
Yeah.
That is
This one
awesome.
looks like a nautilus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that a lot of the tangles that, particularly that Maria goes with, could be like these very fanciful sea or plant creatures. They just automatically lend themselves to it. And when you use these Fibonacci proportions, it just even more so. Mm-hmm. I like that little shading in there.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and Bijou liked it too.
Oh, yes.
So this was from the initial working with poke root, which is kind of fun. That started here at Phi, and it went up that way and came down and around and circled back right there. That's kind of cool too.
And take a look at how she played with the diagonals. So this is a whole other way to explore this. So, like this little trapezoid here or parallelogram, this one here, these are all, located in Phi. And if you play with that, that's a whole other way to take this.
And these were Molly and Martha's meanderings with this particular tile. All kind of cool.
And again, see how they, you can either do these clouds and bring them together, or hear this sort of like ghost tangling.
Mm-hmm. And here is just some more rambling, with trying this stuff and that stuff. You can see, maybe you can get screenshots of these things eventually, and you can try them too and try to figure out, because I always would start right where the Phi came together. This one here,
Really cool.
This one I started bouncing around every other point, and then the same with the other, and it created an 8-pointed star of some sort, and then just worked from there.
And then sort of like here as
well.
well.
Yeah, I did that again with that.
And a different, so I'm going to bet, let's just roughly, that if we go here by connecting those parts, right? Mm-hmm. You end up with this rectangle in here, this golden rectangle.
Oh, well,
Isn't that
there,
cool? There you go.
Did you look at that before?
No, I just
How
just
fun is
caught
that?
Yeah.
So these two are really cool, and I encourage you to try that technique of connecting those
I love that.
dots, right?
Right.
Connecting the dots.
What else do we have here?
Oh, this was, I think we had already showed, this was my initial response to that. Molly had done this, which was kind of fun, working with bold moves here.
Love that simple overlay. Wow.
And this was working with more fragments and reticula. I would have liked to do more fragments, but there was just so many videos that we could do. There's a bunch of different fragments, and you can see that that's Phi.
Beautiful.
And there's another one.
Look at this sort of over-tangling here.
Yeah, after I was all done, the fragments and reticular on this, then I just swirled things around like diva dance in simple lines, and then I just kind of smushed them over with my hand.
So this is with the colored
pencils, yeah.
Right?
So it gave it a moire look to it.
Beautiful.
And this is, it was okay, but it was what it was.
But it's an exercise.
It was an exercise.
And the whole point is that you explore, you go through different things, and then one is like this seed for this other magical exploration. I love that.
Yeah.
And
we didn't work with a brown pen, but I kind of liked what it looked like
Yeah.
with the brown pen.
And I'm guessing these start,
Yeah.
right?
So all of them start and finish there. That's kind of cool. And this, after Rick showed the sunflower, I'm thinking, oh yeah? So I found the sweet spot there and started doing spirals off that center.
In both directions.
All the way, and then in the other direction, and then just filling them with fragments. And that was really fun. I encourage you to try that. That was really cool. And these, I just did when we first got the tiles, just because they were so much fun. I loved the shape of them, but I didn't measure off anything. So when you can use this without doing the phi,
Oh, yeah.
right? And they're still pretty. I love this one.
That's
There's
really
something
beautiful.
about it that's
I
just
love it.
playful. I don't even know. This looks like a reduction block, like a linoleum cut, right?
Oh, right. Or when you would put crayon down and then put black over it and
Yeah.
scratch it off. But I'm just curious on this one.
Okay.
Just to. So it's in that.
It's there,
in that
a little bit.
ballpark. Yeah. Cool. Or let's see. Right.
That's sort of there, right?
Yeah. I love this sort of. This is just a great toy.
And also, you don't forget that diagonals are very strong too. You can
Yeah.
always add a diagonal besides for those
Well,
sweet spots.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
This was the diagonals on this one. Maybe that's what I was working on. That you can see them there.
Well, hopefully, I think this probably, judging by the comments, lit everybody's fire.
I think so too.
Right?
With the comments we've gotten, were so exciting and invigorating.
And everything that you're creating is so wonderful.
Oh,
and
so beautiful.
And it's different. And that's what we really, we're planting seeds and we're giving ideas, and we love to see how everything comes up in unexpected and beautiful ways.
So keep on keeping on.
And this was a very fine time, I think.
I love that. Finally.
Okay, much love, everybody, and we'll see you later.
Toodles.
Bye now.
Bye.